Good morning. It's Professor Shukr here again. Welcome back. In the past 3 lessons, we have been building a very strong foundation for research and understanding educational research. Firstly, if you remember the first session, we explored the IMRAD structure, learning how to organize research papers into introduction, method, result, and discussion. And after knowing IMRAD, in the second session, we broke down the research paper headings, making a sense of that each section means and what it should contain. And in the last session, we discussed the differences between qualitative and quantitative research, understanding how words and numbers are used differently in research. In research, either we can use words or we can use numbers. Now let's take a step forward. We will explore the 5 most common research study designs. Remember, there are more than 5 research designs which are available to the researchers, but I am talking about educational research. In educational research, 5 most common research study designs used are, which you come to know, and for each design we look at its definition, simple explanation, the type of data it collects, qualitative and quantitative, which you have already studied and learned in the previous video, a common mistake to avoid, and a practical example on the topic effect of screen time on sleep duration in school children. So stay with me for next 10 or 15 minutes. The most common 5 study design by usage frequency in education are cross-sectional, correlation, quasi-experimental, experimental, and case study. Let me repeat: cross-sectional, correlation, quasi-experimental, experimental, and case study. But before that, we must understand the meaning of the word design in research. Design in research refers to the overall plan or structure of how a study is conducted. It answers the question, how will I carry out the research to get the answer which has arisen to solve a problem. It includes what type of study will be done, which I am going to talk today. 5 types, like experimental, case study is one of them. Who will be studied? About participants, that I am going to talk in the subsequent, the number of them and how to select them. How data will be collected, which is tools and methods, when and where the study will be taken, and what steps will be taken to ensure fairness, accuracy, and ethics. For example, just to explain the previous slide, if you want to know if screen time affects sleep in children, your design might be experimental type, participants 30 school children, data collection, tracks screen time and the hours of the sleep using diaries, and grouping. Some get screen time restrictions, others don't. This is just an example, just to what I said in the before slide. So let's talk about the most common research study design which is being used in education especially, and that is cross-sectional study design. Now remember, a cross-sectional study collects data at a single point in time to explore relationship between variables, which are the measurable factors. Typically, surveys, which are questionnaires used to collect information, are distributed to participants to gather this data. Important thing is, at a single point in time, that is, I do research and collect my data today. It's a single point in time. Type of data collected, usually it is quantitative, based on numbers and measurable data. Can include qualitative also, based on words, opinions, or descriptions if open-ended questions are used. I can give you an example. For example, we are talking about screen time and sleep habits in grade 6 students. So one type of, if we want to do a cross-sectional study design, we want to use it, then the example could be cross-sectional survey of screen time and sleep habits in grade 6 students. It means a one-time questionnaire asks about daily screen use and sleep hours of students in different schools. Now this is a common mistake. Assuming causality. Thinking about one thing directly causes another from one-time data. It means they are two. So therefore, screen use is affecting sleep hours, or sleep hours affecting screen use. The important thing is, the problem is one-time data. But that's the strength of the research also. Second is correlation study design. A correlation study, as the word is correlate, a correlation study is a non-experimental, means no active intervention or control, design that examines the relationship between two or more variables without manipulating, changing them, without changing the variables. Data is collected to determine if a meaningful connection or relationship exists. Type of data collected is quantitative because it is based on numbers and measurable information. The same example of screen time and sleep duration, if we want to do research using these two variables, then we could do a correlation study between screen time and sleep duration in primary school students. It means a survey, a set of questions used to collect information is conducted asking students about screen time and sleep. Results are analyzed using statisticals to find out there is a correlation or not, a relationship exists or not statistically. A common mistake is misinterpreting correlation, a common connection or relationship, as causation, a direct cause and effect link, because there could be other things also affecting it. We will be discussing this in detail in subsequent videos. The third is quasi-experimental study design. And we'll also understand how quasi-experimental study design is different from experimental study design. As we understand, in both of them, experiment is done. It means one of the variable is changed intentionally by the researcher. Now that is the experiment. A quasi-experimental study involves an intervention, a planned change or action, but lacks random assignment. That is the important differentiation. It lacks random assignment. It means participants are not randomly allocated into groups. Instead, participants are assigned to groups based on availability, not through randomized or random selection process. So that is why quasi-experimental study is much easier to carry on, because the participants are more easily available. Type of data collected, quantitative, based on numbers and measurable information. Again, if you want to do a quasi-experimental study which is based on screen time and impact of sleep, it could be a quasi-experimental analysis of classroom-based screen time intervention and their impact on sleep. One school reduces screen time while another does not. Sleep data from both is compared, and once it is compared, it is a quasi-experimental. A common mistake is assuming cause and effect conclusions without controlling for co-founders. Fourth is experimental study design. By now, you must have understood the difference between these two, and what that could be: randomization. Experimental study is one in which the researchers actively manipulates, intentionally changes one variable to choose its effects on another using random assignment. Participants are placed into groups by chance. Participants are randomly placed in either an interventional group or a group without intervention. It means this thing, if once you are selecting participants, then in the population, every person have an equal chance to be selected as a participant in that study. Type of data collected is quantitative, based on numbers and measurable. Again, the example, it could be an experimental study on the effects of screen time reduction or sleep duration in grade 6 students. It means students are randomly assigned to screen restricted and non-restricted group. They are not just picked up like that. They are picked up scientifically so that in the populations of students, that is the control and control group, then we make a system by which during selection in a population, every participant which is going to be selected has an equal chance of selection. Common mistake, failing to randomize. Assign participants to group by chance properly, leading to bias, unfair or skilled. So in fact, that is not a proper experimental, it is then a quasi-experimental or something like that. Lastly, the case study design. A case study is a detailed exploration of a single case, which could be an individual, an organization, a school or college or setting, within its real life context, focusing on specific behavioral patterns, such as screen time and sleep over a recognized period. Data collection is qualitative, based on non-numerical data like words, opinion, observations, may include quantitative also. But primarily, the case study design is more towards qualitative research. Example, case study of sleep duration due to screen time in grade 6 students. It means one can do is, one student's digital habits and sleep logs are monitored and discussed over a term. Common mistake, overgeneralization. That is the mistake which we see in it. Okay. The time's up for today now. So, thank you for joining us. We hope you have learned something new. You have learned something which is beneficial to you. In our next video, we'll take a deeper dive into the methodology section. And obviously, then we are going to start sampling. And in sampling, we are going to answer two questions. One, how do you calculate the number of participants needed in a study to produce a result which is acceptable? And how do you select them fairly and scientifically? So, that was all from my side today. Enjoy the life, remain happy, keep smiling. Goodbye and see you next week. Bye bye.